Thank you, Councilman Sabag. Now for the mayor's report. It's going to be long. First, I want to apologize for missing tonight's work session. I had an obligation at 6 p.m. in Clayton County that I could not afford to miss. I want to set the record straight, though. I was not getting my nails done. I joke, but in reality, for some time, there's been a story that I missed a sign tour back on February 1st because I was getting my nails done. Erica. The first one. This false story was started when a member of this council wrote a blog making the allegation. It was 100% untrue. I have always supported the idea of having welcome signs and location signs made for our city. Last June, I supported Councilman Sabag when he motioned to include money for new signs in the city budget. When the rest of council failed to support this motion for new welcome signs, I took it upon myself to illustrate our need. I wanted to show council how well welcome and location signs looked in other cities and how they helped create a sense of identity. So I asked staff to arrange for a sign tour of other cities. This was something that staff had worked on coordinating for months. And finally, staff was able to coordinate everyone's calendars for February 1st. I was very appreciative of staff for their efforts and excited for the tour. But unfortunately, a downside of being a trial attorney is that you can't always control your own schedule. I had a court conflict arise, which I advised the staff and council of at our January 28th work session. The video. Sign tour, you all received an email. We have that scheduled for this Friday. All right.
Yes, we do. And I think John might have, John, have you handed out information?
I have not, but I'll send it around. We've got 3 stops that we're thinking about. City of Swanee, Gwinnett Place, and Norcross. They all have different types of signage. They come from basically similar source design.
Kind of looks like we just took the tour.
Yeah. now you get to do it in person.
I'm just saying.
It looks a lot better when you see it on the ground. But we'll hit all 3 of those.
And so what is the time of that? We're meeting here
Here at 9 o'clock
on Friday,
on Friday.
and we're supposed to conclude when?
We should conclude.
Be back by 2 or 2:30.
Can I ask a question? I thought this tour, maybe I misunderstood it completely. I thought this tour was to talk about business signs.
It is. It's really for 3 things. It's for wayfinding signage, monument signage that we're going to go by, we might as well look at, and any details in the sign ordinance that may come up. It helped me. I can tell you when the last time I went through a signage process in Dalton, by visiting other communities, we're going to get out of the bus and we're going to walk around downtown Norcross. It always helped me at that time to just run into people and say, hey, what do you like about this town? Does the signage help you here? Does it direct you where you're going? If you try to find out from people out on the street, you learn a lot that way. And so it's just, we had, I think you had the short within Snellville tour a couple of months ago. This is just meant to see some other communities, and it should serve all those purposes, Tom.
There are some rather interesting stuff.
I looked at this, I just saw one thing and I
Yeah.
couldn't.
And
Those are the pretty pictures.
if you remember when I first brought this up a few months ago, we arranged the inside tour to address the issues in our sign ordinance. But after visiting Norcross, I asked that we arrange the larger tour because of Norcross's monument signs and the maps that they have.
And the reader board that's
And the
going
reader
in
board,
also.
yes. Mr. Davis, I have to get the jail at 8:30, and so I will have to meet y'all somewhere. Can you just maybe email me where you think you'll be around 10 o'clock or so? Or the best time to meet you after that?
Yes, ma'am. We can do that.
Does anybody else have any conflicts for Friday?
I may have one, I have to check, let you know later.
I will not be in town on Friday.
Now, in the video, I mistakenly said I had court at the jail when in fact I had juvenile court scheduled for 8:30 a.m. on that Friday morning. I have my cell phone bill, which shows that when I was done with court at 11:12 a.m. that morning, I immediately called City Hall. As you heard in the video, the sign tour was supposed to last from 9 a.m. until about 2 or 2:30. So at 11 o'clock, it should have not been a problem for me to meet the rest of council. When I called City Hall, staff had not been in touch with Mr. Sanders or Mr. Davis to tell me where to go. But fortunately, after the work session on January 28th, Mr. Davis told me that they would be taking council to lunch in the Gwinnett Place CID area. I could meet them there. Again, at 11:32, I used my cell phone to call 411 to get the address and the phone number of the location where I thought council would be eating lunch. When I arrived at the Gwinnett Place CID area, I couldn't locate the city bus. I thought, how hard could it be to find a City of Snellville bus? But I couldn't find it. I again called Mr. Sanders in City Hall at 12 o'clock, but got voicemail. After driving around looking for the city bus, I decided to head to Norcross, the next city on the list. That's when I received a phone call from Mr. Sanders at 12:33 p.m. telling me that the sign tour was over because only Councilwoman Kraus showed up. I thanked him and staff for their hard work on arranging this tour and apologized for both myself missing it and also for the council. That night, I attended the Gwinnett Chamber dinner with several members of the council, but I never went and got my nails done that day. I made every effort to attend the sign tour and was in court when I said I was in court. I was there, and there was never any reason to imply otherwise. Allegations that I missed the sign tour to get my nails done were false and sexist. Still, that did not stop 2 members of our Board of Appeals from traveling to juvenile court last Friday. These 2 members of our Board of Appeals made representations to court staff that they were there to conduct an investigation of myself. To find out whether I was actually in court on February 1st. After receiving verification from court staff that I was in fact in court, they were still not satisfied, and they asked to speak to the juvenile court judge. When I was notified last Friday of the conduct of our city board members, I was shocked and disgusted that they would waste the time of a juvenile court judge on their own political antics. I do not know why I was surprised. These same 2 individuals were the ones that were stopped in the middle of the night by the police department during the mayor's campaign, placing fraudulent emails that someone had written to appear as if I had sent them on people's mailboxes, an incident that was eventually referred to the district attorney's office. Unfortunately, these are not the only incidents of false allegations made against me. Just recently, after the last council meeting, another member of this council wrote a letter that was published online in the Snellville Patch. In this letter, you can see, could you scroll down just a little bit, please? In bold, and these are just 2 points out of many that were made, in bold, this council member states what they say is fact, that it was unknown by at least 4 council members that Cruiser and Mitchell had been hired until December 13th, and that 4 council members were unknown that a contract between Cruiser and Mitchell existed. In this letter, the council member states that these are facts and that I, once again, am not telling the truth about this. Pull the next one. Cruiser and Mitchell was a law firm that was brought in when the city received an anti-litem notice from Marilyn Sweeney. You can see in this first email, we received an anti-litem notice from the attorney representing Ms. Sweeney on October 11th, 2012. Can you scroll down to the next page? The anti-litem notice was sent to all members of council and was against the city of Snellville, not me individually, although I was named in my official capacity. Can you go down to the next page, please? On or about October 17th or 18th, myself and the City Attorney Tony Powell and a representative from Germer, our insurance carrier, met. They raised a potential conflict of interest issue, and you can see from this email on October 19th of 2012 from Mr. Sanders, our city manager, that it was discussed bringing in an attorney just to represent the city on this sole case. You can see from the next email, at the bottom of that email from Mr. Sanders, you can see that I was actually in Savannah that weekend, and when I returned, I sent an email to council. This next email is dated Tuesday, October 30th, 2012. It's an email to council notifying them of my intention of bringing in Cruiser and Mitchell for the sole purpose of this case. In this email, I actually commend Tony Powell and his representation of the city and make it clear that this representation for Cruiser and Mitchell is only limited to this one case at that time for the Sweeney matter. Go down to the next email. You can see that Councilman Emanuel responded to this email acknowledging my intention to bring in Cruiser and Mitchell on October 30th, 2012. Go down to the next email, please. You can also see that at 5:06 that night, in the email from Councilman Emanuel, he requested a copy of their contract. And at 5:06, I forwarded a contract engagement letter that was received from the firm of Cruiser and Mitchell. Unfortunately, this letter says that they are going to represent the mayor of the city of Snellville. Go down to the next one, please. At 7:43 on October 30th, Councilman Witts responded, "The letter from Ms. Jackson states that it is for your representation. Please have her corrected to reflect that she is representing the city, as your first email implied." This was an email from Councilman Witts on October 30th, 2012. Go down to the next email, please. On November 1st, which was a Friday afternoon after 5 o'clock, Cruiser and Mitchell sent us a new representation letter along with a contract and a pre-litigation budget. Next page, please. Next page, please. This is the first page of the contract. You can clearly see the very first line, the city of Snellville, the undersigned client. Not Kelly Couts, not the mayor of Snellville, but the city of Snellville. Next page, please. I forwarded this contract to our city manager when I received it that Friday afternoon, November 2nd. And first thing Monday morning at 7:17 a.m., this contract was sent to the whole city council. So the fact that this council now claims they knew nothing about Cruiser and Mitchell or their contract until December is simply not true. Thank you, Erica. There are many more examples of things that have been allegations that have been inaccurate against me. Just tonight, in their council reports, Councilman Howard showed you an example of a press release that was sent out for motorcycle signs. That was written by the city of Snellville. He chastised Councilman Sabag and myself for a press release we sent out last week for an event we've been planning. Councilman Sabag has actually been planning. This is actually the email that I received from Councilman Howard on April 8th of 2013 for the press release. And as you can see, this says Snellville City Councilman Bobby Howard. Thank you, Erica.
That's from Allstate. That's from Allstate. That's not me.
There are many more examples, but I would be going all night long if I were to sit here and name them all. This type of behavior has been happening in Snellville since I first ran for city council against Marilyn Sweeney. There's a group of people in this community who believe that if they say something long enough and loud enough, it will become true. They do not care if it's a blatant lie or who it hurts. I've said it before and I will say it again. These people are spin masters, and when they cannot spin the truth, they make one up. They are political bullies. I usually try not to comment on these matters and encourage my supporters from refraining from responding because I have known individuals who have felt threatened by standing up for the truth. But when these people go to my job when they disrupt a sitting judge, when they spread false statements about myself, my profession, and my family, I have to speak out. I know that this is an election year in Snellville, and even though I'm not up for election, I know everyone understands I intend on endorsing candidates who are not Councilman Howard or Councilman Witts. So I know that as the election time approaches, these false allegations will only increase unless we stand up to them now. False allegations like these are not just attacks on me personally, they are attacks on our city because they waste the time and energy that could be focused on matters to improve our city. Councilman Witts made a statement earlier at a special called meeting that we need a public information officer to focus on the positive things that are happening in our city. I agree. I campaigned on the fact that we needed a public information officer. But negative stories are not coming from mainstream media. They're being created by the imaginations of some people sitting beside me. So I'm here tonight to encourage the citizens of Snellville to stand up to these bullies, to the false allegations, and be positive that we are moving Snellville forward. That's what I will be doing. From here on out, I'll be focusing on the positive. Back in January of 2012, we had a retreat where we had a moratorium about posting negative things on our Facebook page. Since that time, I've tried to only post the positive in Snellville. And despite these false allegations that seem to be flying left and right in this city, I will continue to do that. So with that, I'd like to share with you some of the things we've been doing since the last council meeting. This is a picture of the special education class at Shiloh High School. These are gifted students, but you would never know it by seeing them, visiting with them, and they were able to graduate high school and earn their diploma this past May. So I want to congratulate them and thank them for letting me share in their special day. Upside down, but that's okay. This is the graduation of South Gwinnett High School. I know Councilman Sabag's youngest son, Ferris, was a graduate, and he now has 3 boys that have gone through South Gwinnett High School. They're very fine boys, and that's a reflection of you and Rita. And so I want to congratulate Ferris and all the graduates of the South Gwinnett High School. It was a beautiful ceremony, and some of them are on to great things. And they're going to be the future of our community, so I hope they become involved more in city business. This is myself and my husband at the Chick-fil-A road race on Memorial Day. I went to a great cause. It was for the Teen Pregnancy Resource Center, single mothers. And Chick-fil-A is a fabulous organization. Actually, on June 26th, I'm going to have the opportunity to travel to the Chick-fil-A headquarters and take a backstage tour. So I want to thank Tom and the owner of Chick-fil-A and Robin Mock, who is the new marketing director for Chick-fil-A Scenic Highway, for all they do in the community. Unfortunately, I was unable to be there for the beginning of the Memorial Day placement of flags on the graves on 78. I understand that this is something the VFW and Mayor Pro Tem Witts take part in, and so I want to thank them. These gentlemen and the Boy Scouts were there, the Patriot Riders were there. This is something we kind of take for granted on Memorial Day. We see the flags and we just take for granted how they got there, but there were probably over 100 volunteers putting flags throughout the cemetery that day. So thank all of you for your hard work, and then again for the men and women who serve our country. Councilman Sabag already alluded to congratulations to Belk. This is a picture from their 125th anniversary. I can't believe they've been open for that long, but it was a great day, and I want to thank Belk for inviting us and allowing us to celebrate. They put me in charge of cutting the cake, which was probably not a good thing. I had cake everywhere, but I want to thank Belk for allowing us to be a part of their special day and for the gift certificates that they gave away. I think Councilman Krause, myself, and Councilman Sabag and his wife were able to get gift certificates. Mine was $5, but $5 is better than nothing, so thank y'all for giving those out to the first few customers that were in the store. This is a picture of our newest class of the Snellville Citizens Police Academy. Congratulations to all of our graduates, and thank you for serving as part of that class. And then finally, last weekend was a very busy weekend. And not only did we have the stat events going on, but we had activities throughout the city. This is a picture of Alpha Kappa Alpha. sorority, they hosted their first health fair here at the senior center while the farmers market was going on. This is something that they hope to make an annual health fair. You don't have to be a senior to go to it, and it's open for both men and women. The H2U group partnered with them along with Eastside Hospital. It was a fantastic event for their first year, and I look forward to seeing it grow in our city. So thank you to all the women that helped organize that event. And then, as Mr. Ewing said, cell phones cause more accidents than DUIs do, and that is so true. And I have a bad habit of using my cell phone while I'm in the car, and so this is myself and Councilman Sabag taking the pledge to not text or email while we are driving. This is a very important pledge, and I encourage all the citizens to come out and take that pledge as well. Bingham's Academy did open. They have 2 salons in the Gwinnett County area, but they have opened their first cosmetology school here in Snellville. It's across from the post office. It's where Snellville office products used to be, and they have done an amazing job remodeling the inside. Unfortunately, the school is only open to women, but if you know a lady, a young woman that young or old that would like to either go back to school or get a technical degree, please encourage them to go and see Bingham's Cosmetology School. It's a great asset for our community. Mr. Allen wants to get more involved in our city. I understand that council had other events to go to that day with the farmers market and beach blast going on, but I would encourage all of y'all to stop by and introduce yourself. He really has done a fantastic job over there at his cosmetology school. Finally, pictures from the beach blast. I was so impressed with the crowd and how fabulous the event was, so thank you to all of the volunteers and to STAT for their hard work on this event and the concert. It seems that it's growing every year, so I'm excited to see how it'll continue to grow next year. And then Chick-fil-A, like I said, they're trying to get more involved in the community. They had a Lego building night, and it was the cutest thing. I never knew you could do so many things with Legos. And these it was a boys' sport. They were all boys that were winners, but these children, these young boys, were so happy with their creations, and I told them I would share it with the whole city. So these are the winners of the Chick-fil-A Legos, and I think there's 4 of them for the different age groups. All their creations. And congratulations to Brookwood tennis player Mr. Wendell, who just won Tennis Player of the Year, and the tennis coach at Brookwood High School was recognized as Coach of the Year. That concludes my mayor's report. Thank you all for coming out here. Have a good evening, and we will open it up to public comment. Please state your name and address for the record. Do we have a sign-in sheet? Please sign the sheet.
Mayor, Council, my name is Jamie Dempsey, 430 Crested View Drive, Loganville, and I just wanted to bring up a couple of things, and I'm not quite sure who to address this to. So, Councilman Sabah, I'm gonna start with you just because you brought it up earlier about the ribbon cutting at the salon the other day. When was that? First of all, please. Okay, wonderful. And just out of curiosity, where were these things announced? You know, and then, you know, Mayor, I'm seeing I saw in your slides about the situation going on at Belk. What I'd like to get at is, you know, as your city's Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to humbly request that the council and staff would make a concerted effort to communicate to the organization that represents your city's business community of any such grand openings, ribbon cuttings, and those types of things, and involve GECC whenever possible and appropriate. There's so many wonderful things going on in the city, And I just ask that the city would work with the business community through its Chamber of Commerce to welcome those businesses, to help that business community grow in the best possible way. And I'm not quite sure who I might need to speak to about that, whether it would be staff or some of you guys individually. But, you know, we're here to help your business community grow and prosper and flourish. And I'd like to ask that opportunity be reciprocated, that we might be able to be a part of those types of things. Thank you very much.
Marcy Ferris and Marilyn Swinney, and you are a liar.
First of all, we never asked to see the judge. The bailiff made that decision. Second of all, we never said we were doing investigations. Never. Okay? So you're lying. We were never stopped by the police during the campaign. Your thugs cornered us in a cul-de-sac and would not let us
Excuse me, I think you're speaking to my father, who's 67
No,
years
he
old.
was not in the car.
Yes,
He was
ma'am.
in a
So-
truck.
So please,
There was a
please
truck
respect,
with young
please
guys.
respect our decorum policy.
You heard me. They were thugs because they cornered us and they wouldn't let us out of the cul-de-sac. And I called the police, and that's on record.
Exactly, and nothing was sent to the DA. You are lying.
You know, I have one more thing to say. All these wonderful things that you show pictures, I don't see any of the council members except you and Mr. Sabah. Do they even know about these situations?
No,
You're not
no,
a
we
team.
don't. We're never included.
You know, you're
Invitations-
not a team.
Invitations were sent out from Mr. Allen
Yeah,
about the
right.
Bigham Cosmetology opening. I believe that he sent them late, and all of us sent them. I believe all of us.
Hi, my name is Sharon Hetherington. I've attended several of these meetings and been interested in the way the city has run for the past several years. My first time to speak, for better, for worse. I'm going to have a few things to say. I hope I can be, I hope I can make myself clear. I did see the press release or whatever that you was sent out about Flag Day. I barely got past the first sentence before I became upset that it came from the mayor and one councilman rather than the entire council. I just cannot understand why it would go like that rather than from everybody. Meetings that I've attended before, you have many of you have said that you desire to work together. That kind of a thing, the Flag Day announcement, is a prime example of you grandstanding, I believe that was your word, and calling attention to yourselves rather than presenting the council as a council. Bear with me. I also have the question, were the other council members invited to the Flag Day ceremony? You were, okay, great. I do believe that there have been times in the past when the council was invited to events and the council was not aware. Only the mayor and Congressman Sabal attended because they were the only ones who knew about it. I am curious to know why only Mr. Sabal's family was mentioned in your mayor's comments, why only his events or whatever are supported or mentioned by you. It's nice to have friends. It's great that you two can work together and support each other. But the idea, as me as a citizen, is, going back to what's been said here many times, is for you all to work together. If you don't feel that the others welcome you to work with them, rise above what you may perceive as their pettiness and be inclusive, particularly our leader. As far as this Court of Appeals nomination and Ms. Sweeney, I met Ms. Sweeney here at one of these meetings, I don't know, several months ago. I've spoken to her maybe once or twice at events. That's to say, I don't really know her. I see her name mentioned as being active, very active in STAT and at all of the events that STAT puts on. I can't for the life of me imagine why you would not want to continue with someone who obviously loves the city, loves the volunteer work that she does for the city, why you would want to replace her. It is truly, truly beyond me. Mayor Pro Tem Witz impressed me once again. As soon as he heard of the open position on a committee, he immediately suggested that the lady, I'm sorry, I don't know her name, that she apply for that position, and that's to be commended. You know, he's not just speaking; he's following up immediately on. He's a man of his word. He's a man of principle. I also wanted to mention, since you have brought up, I think it's the Gwinnett Daily Post or News, Snellville Patch. I think that Patch does a fantastic job of letting the city know, or letting the citizens know what's going on. That's where I get most of the information that I learn about Patch, and I think they do a good job. Then the other thing is, one more thing, this is the last point. I don't know any of these STAT people. I know they're STAT people from coming to these meetings, seeing them wear their t-shirts. I'm kind of beginning to learn to put a name with a face or two, but I don't know them. But I believe that I do know something about their character from the efforts that they have made as unpaid volunteers to support this city. Untold hours. I know as a volunteer myself how long it takes to get 40 Cub Scout families to do something besides getting however many, 5,000 people to turn up at an event. They are the kind of people that I admire, and they are the kind of people who will not support liars. I believe that they have integrity, and that's the kind of people that I want to align myself with, learn from, and take advice from. I also want to say, I take very little at face value. I do my research and my homework as much as possible. And Mayor, I want to say that if you want your fellow councilmen, any media, whoever, to stop recording your misdeeds, there's a simple solution. You can step down. Thank you.
Additional public comments.
Kurt Schultz, 2027 Tanglewood Drive. I've got to agree with everything that's been said from these other people. I feel like I've been in Superior Court for the last half hour with all this legalese going on. This whole thing with Cruiser and Mitchell would have never come up if you had just listened to your legal counsel that said you couldn't win this case. You just brought these people in to try to save face. So in my estimation, you just cost the city, whatever it is, $27,000, $30,000 when you were told, excuse me. Anyway, that is what I happen to believe happened, and as far as I know, that's what I have heard, and I'll go with that. And anyway, Claudette, it's been a pleasure working with you this past year. I feel like we have become good friends with you, and I hope you feel the same about us, and I hope you see that there is no vindication towards you from any of the council members who voted against you at this point. The whole thing was that wait for an opening. There's an opening coming up, and I will lobby for you for that position. So anyway, thank you very much.
Additional public comment.
Hi, Nathan Horton, 440 Ashland Manor Drive. 2 quick points. Disappointed as usual to see that almost 20% of the budget is fines and forfeitures. Just never good to take people's money for very little or no reason. Second, the business with Claudette Forbes. I don't have the pleasure of knowing her, but from everything I've heard tonight and previously, she seems to be an amazing woman. Her nomination for the Board of Appeals, however, is naive and a bit absurd when you have people who have 10, 20, 30 years of experience in that position, and there's open positions available in the Urban Redevelopment Agency. I really hope that I do see her nominated for one of those appointments at next month's meeting.
Additional public comments. Seeing none. The time is 9:51 and we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Have a safe trip home.